Shalom and welcome to our tutorial conference of the Eliezer program of BOTSINA KADISHA, a yeshiva in Jerusalem. We are going to study tutorial 9 that is about the inner dimensions of man, the inner nature of man. We are taught that the soul is the real man. If the soul is the real man, then we ought to know about the soul. If you know only of the physical body, then you are halfway knowing who man is. But if Bizrat Hashem, you are able to study the inside of man, then you will know man to a great extent. So let us see whether the body and the soul, they are of equal relevance. Is the body and the soul of equal relevance? Is the body and the soul of equal relevance? We know from today's tutorial. The tutorial tells us that so there are two words in existence, two words. Olamim, two words. The word that we can see, the physical world, and the spiritual world, the word we cannot see. So the physical body is drawn from the physical world, while the soul is drawn from the spiritual world. We just mentioned that there are two worlds in existence. One is a physical world, one is a spiritual world. And from each of the worlds, Hashem made different bodies. One is the spiritual body, which is soul, and the other is the physical body, which is the physical body, the flesh. Let's see how important the body is. Without the physical body, man cannot perform mitzvot. The soul alone cannot perform mitzvot. So the soul needs the physical body in order to perform mitzvot. In that sense, the soul, although is the real man, is important, and the physical body is also important. So the body and the soul needs each other. They need each other, the body and the soul need each other. Just like the spiritual world and the physical world, they work hand in hand, they need each other. So why was the soul brought down to the body? It's brought down to the body so that the body will be able to perform its vote. Now the body and the soul, one is spiritual and one is physical. What is it that is bonding them together? What is it that can really glue them together? What is it that Hashem used to allow them to be coupled together without being separated? we discover that it is the blood. It is the blood. The blood is what glues the spiritual man and the physical man together. So the blood is the intermediary between the physical world and the spiritual world. The blood can turn spiritual. The blood can also turn physical, material. That is what the lesson is telling us. The blood is the intermediary between the body and soul. What glues the spiritual soul and the material body together is the blood. The blood is both material and a spiritual substance. The blood oscillates between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. The blood can become a physical substance and it can also turn to a spiritual substance. Now you see the reason why we don't eat blood. So if you want to understand what we are doing, take it from this perspective. The halakha will tell you, don't do this, don't do that. But Kabbalah will tell you, open more, go deeper. When you go deeper, you will see the reason why the halakha tells you not to do something or ask you to do something. So we now see the reasons why we are prohibited from taking blood, even the blood of animal. How do you kosher your meat? You soak it in salt water so that you remove all the blood. Why? This is the reason. So as we are discussing, if you feel like asking a question, please just ask me. I will stop and answer you. Ravi, are you with me now? Can you hear me? Ike, can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aviva, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Sister Ingrid, you are off and on. Is there any network problem? Now, what gives the blood the ability to dwell in both realms? There is something in the blood which gives the blood that power to change to materiality, to change to spirituality. There's something in the blood that gives it that power. What gives the blood the ability to do so is the presence of the nefesh in the blood. The Torah mentions that the nefesh is in the blood as it is written in Vayikra 17:11. Vayikra is Leviticus. For the soul, which is nefesh, of the flesh is in the blood, and I have assigned it for you upon the altar to provide atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that atones for the soul. You can see, the blood is not an ordinary substance. So it is spiritual because God has engraved, put something inside it. And that something is called the nefesh, the soul. Since the soul is in the blood, we are not expected to consume it, to eat it. That is the halakha. What is the nature of the nefesh? You remember the title of the program or the conference is The Inner Dimensions of Man. The inner dimensions of man. So we are trying to learn what is inside man. And we have talked about the blood, which is a bond between, a bridge between the spiritual world in a man and the physical world in a man. And we have discovered what is inside the blood that gives the blood the power to oscillate between the physical world and the spiritual world. the presence of the nefesh. Then what is the nature of the nefesh? While in the blood, the nefesh mediates between the spiritual and the material world of man. Of all the levels of the soul, nefesh is more attached to the body than the rest. So what are we talking about? We are going to talk about the levels of the soul, but we are starting from nefesh, which is the lowest level, the level where the blood operates. That's the nefesh. Nefesh itself is of several spiritual dimensions. The lower dimension is less spiritual and more material. Hence, nefesh is more materialistic, animalistic, and less sublime among the 5 levels of the soul. What is the tutorial telling us here? The nefesh is said to be materialistic because it serves the material needs of this person. That means of all the levels of the soul, the one that is more attached to the physical body is called the nefesh. That is the one you find in the blood. The nefesh is in the blood. Does not mean that the whole of the soul is in the blood. There are other levels of the soul up there, 1, 2, 3, up to 5 of them in total, that are with man, that are in man, but it's only the nefesh that is attached to the blood. So why is the nefesh attached to the blood? The soul is spiritual with different levels of spirituality. So levels are higher than the others. So the lowest one is attached to the physical body so that it can be with man, understand man, work with man, provide the needs of man, provide the physical needs of man and the rest. So, because the nefesh is too close to the physical body, is embedded in the physical body, the nefesh tends to be that spiritual force that leads man to sin too. You see the disadvantage. It leads man to sin. We even refer to it as the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, because it is inside man. What is the nature of man? That's what we are trying to study. In case you have a question, please stop me and ask a question. I will answer you. What is the relationship between the nefesh and other levels of the soul? The nefesh is the appendage of the other soul levels that are higher than the nefesh in spirituality, such as the ruach and the neshama. So the nefesh is at the bottom. Then the other levels of the soul rest upon the nefesh. Another one will rest upon this, another up to the 5 levels. So, but the lowest is the nefesh. That's the relationship nefesh has with them. Write a list of the 5 levels of the soul. That is what the tutorial is telling us. If you have the tutorial there, you see the 5 levels. You start counting from bottom, from down to up, not from up to down. From the bottom, or at the lowest part, you see number 1, which is the nefesh. After nefesh is ruach. After ruach is neshama. After neshama is chaya. After chaya is yechida. So these are the levels of the soul. This does not mean that the soul is 5 or 5 in 1. The soul is 1, just 1. But in spirituality, it is in levels. Now, let us learn how the different levels of the soul enters the body or also leaves the body. Depending on the merits of an individual, various levels of the soul enter and depart from the body intermittently while the person is still alive. So from time to time, the levels of the soul stay in the body and also leave the body. When you sleep at night, part of your soul leaves you and go and meet Hashem for judgment. When someone dies, passes on, part of the soul, a level of the soul, some levels of the soul depart from the person. When a child is born, everybody will be waiting for the cry of the child. The child will not cry if some level of the souls, some levels of the soul, have not entered the child. So when a woman is pregnant in the house, the soul of the child is around, comes around, stay with the family. Yes, somebody is asking, does that mean at birth we don't have all these levels? Mr. Ike, I would like to see your face. If you are a man, no problem, but if you are a woman, you can leave. Then some other time, try to introduce yourself to me. Okay. Where are you from? I can't hear you. Unmute your mic and so that you can talk. Okay. Our great country, Uganda. We have a lot of great scholars there. You are welcome. Welcome. So this program is for all of Africa. For all of Africa and those who are not in Africa. You can see Mr. Ravi is from India. He has been a great friend, studying with the yeshiva. We are planning on how to create a forum for him in India where he can have some students and interact with. It's a kind of, we want him to feel at home. So it's an African program, but we also work with people from other continents. So in Uganda, I think you are there, and Aviva is still from Uganda. Maybe by the time we have some few students there, we create a center there for the Uganda Jews. Thank you for being with us. Okay, I can see Mukono Orthodox community. I have friends there. You are welcome. Feel very much at home. Everybody, if you have any question, stop me and ask me. Okay. So the question Ike is asking is, so does it mean at birth we don't have all these levels? No, at birth we don't have all those levels of soul. We are going to get to that place. At birth you have only one level, which is the nefesh, the lowest level, to give life to the baby. And if that level of the soul does not enter the baby will not be alive. That's what we call stillbirth and the rest. So we really need to know all these things so that even in your prayers, you will go deeper. In your understanding, you will go deeper. In most of the things you do, you have a deeper understanding of them. The other time we were taught the 365 sinus and the 248 organs of the body. Just as we have the physical, so also we also have the spiritual. So it's because the soul has the 365 sinus and 248 organs. That is why the body has it to have them too. If they are not present in the soul, it will be present in the body. So when you count the organs of your body, biblically or according to Jewish tradition, you are going to get 248 organs. So when you count the sinus, that is the vessels, you're also going to get 365 sinus. This is your physical body. They are in the physical body because they are already in the soul. So what we are trying to do is to know what is inside of man. Because Rabbi told us, if you are working with people, you don't know that to their soul, you are going to be in trouble. So we are examining what is the inside the soul of man, so that you will know who you are and know also people around you who they are. Your spouse, you need to know your wife, you need to know your husband, you need to know your children, you need to know your parents. You need to know your friends so that you know what to do with them or what not to do with them. So what we gain, especially from here, is knowing ourselves and knowing the people around us. Shalom, shalom. So we are talking about the levels of the soul. At birth is the nefesh that enters the body. If you have the material, you will see that the next is after nefesh. What is next? What is the next soul? Soul level. Can someone tell us? After nefesh, which is the lowest one. After nefesh, what is the next level of the soul? This nefesh. The next one is ruach. The next one is ruach. At what point does the ruach enters a person? Do you know it? The nefesh enters at birth. If you are with the tutorial, we are on number 160, 160. So after nefesh, you get to ruach. When does the ruach enters the body? It's during bar mitzvah. During bar mitzvah. Aviv, are you with the tutorial?
No, I don't have the tutorial.
Okay, that is why. Ravi, are you with it?
Yeah, Rav, I have a tutorial.
Okay. So number 160, that's where we are. So the ruach is attained at bar mitzvah. So on the 13th birthday, as the child breathes in, the first breath on the 13th birthday of a man, of a boy, or the 12th birthday of a child, that minute, that child, that boy or that girl attains the bar or bat mitzvah. As he breathes in, he inhales the ruach into his body. So you see Jews celebrate certain things, but you don't know the spiritual reason why they celebrate them. Bar mitzvah, everybody will be preparing, the child, the son will be reading the Torah, preparing how to chant this and that, invite guests to celebrate it. But the actual thing is that on the 13th day, the first hour of that day, the breath that boy is going to take in as he inhales, then is the ruach that enters the boy. If it's a girl, at the age of 12, ruach enters. Then what is next? Neshama. Neshama. You say you don't have the book, so let me type. Neshama. That's the third one. Can all of you see it? Okay. Check your messages. So Neshama is the third one. At what point does one attain the Neshama? You see the word we are using. You attain them one after the other, the levels of the soul. So Neshama will come at the age of 20. When one gets the Neshama, at that point, he is expected to get married, especially a man. The mitzvah of marriage is for the man. So at 20, one is expected, a man is expected to get married. But I know westernization will not permit us, will not make us focus on what we are saying now. So, because when the Neshama comes, you are already prepared. Because that third level of the soul is very, very spiritual. It's enough for you with the Torah you study to manage a home. And as from that stage, the sages said that A man who is not yet married, who is not ready to marry at the age of 20, after the age of 20, there are curses placed on that person. They place curse on him in the heavenly realms. Because why? He's delaying bringing into the world more souls. It's not a good thing to delay bringing souls into the world. That's the best you can do for Hashem, for creating you. When a person is born, listen to this from the Zohar. When a person is born, his nefesh enters him. If he is adequately rectified through his actions, his ruach will enter him at the end of his 13th year. When he becomes a completed person, his neshama will enter him only when he completes his 20th year, as it says in the Zohar. So I don't know if you understand what I'm saying now. So at 20, you are a complete person because you have the 3 levels of the soul with you. Because even Ruach is a high level, Neshama is also a high level. Now, to what extent is the soul attached to the body of an adult? The nefesh is in the blood. We've understood that. Then the ruach is directly connected with the body too. So you now see the levels of the soul so the nefesh is in the blood, the nefesh is inside the blood, while the ruach is placed on top of the nefesh in the body, not directly in the blood. But the neshama is highest among these 3. It's not completely connected to the body. Neshama is not completely connected to the body. Which level of the soul remains or departs at death? Let's go to, we have started with birth. Okay, so that is for one born a Jew. What about one covers at matured age and does not get his neshama? Okay. So,
yeah. Hello.
You want to ask a question?
Yeah, yes, yeah, Rabbi. You told the nefesh is enter into the birth. Ruach is entered into at the what age and what Ruach did in body?
Okay, the work of the nefesh in the body?
Yes, no. Nefesh entered into the birth because you told that around the surrounding the baby in womb. But okay, that is a nefesh entered at the birth. Ruach is what is the Ruach did it to body, and what is the Ruach? What is the work of Ruach?
Okay.
How to behave?
So I understand. What you are asking is nefesh is ingrained in the blood, but the ruach is like a messenger walking between different levels, walking between the nefesh and the other levels of the soul. That's the work of the ruach. So from here, when we are going to study when a person dies or passes away, what happens to the levels of the soul, you are going to see that when a person dies, the nefesh remains with the person in the grave. But the ruach will go and the other levels will go. On the anniversary of the death of the person, the ruach will come back and spend 24 hours with the dead person. That is why you do anniversary of the death of a person. It is the nefesh that is in the grave of these great rabbis. That is why we go to the grave of the great rabbis to pray. If nothing is there, then we don't have any reason to go to the grave of great rabbis to pray. It's because the nefesh is intact. The nefesh does not live. It's only the ruach that lives. Then the ruach will even come on the anniversary of the dead person. So the ruach moves from the physical to spiritual too, but not at the level of the blood. So
Okay,
what level, are you okay with that?
Yeah. Very well said, and very explanation is given. Yes,
Okay.
brother.
So it's like you have something of different weights piled together. The one with the heavier weight will be, the heaviest weight will be at the bottom. Then the one with the lighter weight will follow, and so on and so on. So all the levels of the soul depart from a person at the moment of death, except the nefesh. The nefesh remains with the person in the grave. The ruach travels to and fro between the body and the spiritual world. That's the work of the ruach. So, why do Jews honor the departed people? I don't know how you do it in Uganda or in other parts of the world. In my part of Africa, even before Torah, before Bible came to Africa, or Rabbinical Judaism came, we observe the reverence to our parents, even to the grave. The respect we have for our parents does not stop after the parents dies. After death, we still honor our parents by doing the anniversary every year. So that's what we are trying to let us know. The same thing is done by Jews everywhere. They do the anniversary of the departure of their beloved ones. The dead are not as departed as people commonly think. The ruach dwells with the dead person on the anniversary of his death. The anniversary is usually marked by Jewish people, just as it is a minhag among our Hebraic tribes in Africa to remember our departed parents. On the anniversary, the ruach spends the entire day with the dead body. See? The ruach spends the entire day with the entire body.
Yeah, Rabbi, I have one question here.
Okay.
In the ceremony, and what is the anniversary of the dead person? We are going to that place, and we are remembering, or we are doing something. The ruach is communicated us on that time.
In the Ashkenazi world, we call it Yazait. That's the anniversary. And in the Sephardic world, we call it Hilula, the anniversary of the death of a person. On that day, we light candles, we do some other things. Then, if it is a great sage, like people like Ari Hakadosh, the Holy Ari, people go to the grave to celebrate the anniversary of the death. Some people go on pilgrimage, travel through distance, through days, to get to the grave of great rabbis. Why? Because on that day, that 24 hours, the ruach is there. So it helps in elevating our prayers. It helps in making our requests come to reality. So when you see Jews gather at the grave of great rabbis, this is the reason. But those people who are just coming from Christianity, Messianic, sometimes they castigate you, they condemn you that is idolatry. But in the whole, we don't go there to kneel down to the rabbi that is dead. Oh, Holy Harry, I worship you. There's nothing like that. You go there because this is the Kabbalah, why people approach the graves of great righteous men. We have a minute to go, and we would like to come back because the other part of the tutorial is very interesting too. You will see how the soul enters, the different level of the soul enters the person between each day of the week and how they depart. You will see that. And the year, when in the year calendar, can you attain those 5 levels of the soul? All those stuff will be studied when we return. Then after that, we give room for questions and answer. But I've told you, as I'm teaching, as I'm discussing with you, try and ask me questions. I will answer the ones I know. The ones I don't know, I will leave it for another time, maybe after making research. I'm not here because I know everything. I am here because our rabbi passed some specific information to me. And that is what I am giving to you, so that you can pass them to another person, to another person, to another person. So the Zoom is going to interrupt this class, but we'll come back shortly. I will send another link. Click on the link and come back to the discussion. The other part we are going to discuss is also very interesting. Shalom.
Shalom.
Moshe, Michael, are you with us now, or you are trying to join us? Because we come back again. We'll come back to the second session.